what the situation is.
Joanna Nicolas is a child protection consultant joining us from Gloucester. Joanna, in your experience, what are foster carers who want to look after children from war-torn countries? What are they told about those children, and how reliable is that information?
Morning, Susanna. Of course, I can't speak for every single case, but they will be given, foster carers should be given as much information as the local authority has gleaned from the young person. But as we understand, these are children from war-torn countries very often. The information that we have sometimes is entirely dependent on what that young person tells us. We get very little information from these countries for very understandable reasons. So that's what we're based our information on, what we're told by the young people very often, because we have nothing else to go on.
How limited might that information be? I mean, what sort of cases have you been told about?
Oh, I've been involved in cases where children say almost nothing, because what's happened to those children, what they've witnessed, they are often so deeply traumatised by what's happened in their own country, sometimes what's happened to their parents, to their family, then the whole process of how they've got to the UK. They often arrive in this country deeply traumatised, and they're often not children who are going to spill out to a complete stranger who speaks another language the terrible trauma of things that they have seen. So often we know very little, and these things come out bit by bit as the children get older, as they gain trust and they feel more confident and settled in the home that they're living in.
You see, Joanna, the problem it seemed in this case, and again, like Lord Dubs said, we don't know all the facts, but we do know what's being widely reported.
Yes.
And it would appear that the 18-year-old who was suspected of being the bucket bomber, that he came from Iraq. It was reported that his parents had both died. He was an orphan. He came here to a country which, of course, many people in Iraq would probably not feel that friendly towards. He's come to a country that invaded Iraq. And so that in itself may create a lot of tension and agitation. He was in a lot of trouble, apparently. He'd been in contact with the police, we don't know quite how or what, in the previous few weeks a few times. You know, he was trouble and he was troubled. In that circumstance, what is the process, if you're a foster carer, for alerting this problem with this Iraqi boy, if that's what it is, who's come from that background, to any authority to try and get him checked over, interviewed, whatever it may be? Because it seems that that's where the problem is.
It would be the same for any child who's in the care of the local authority. They have very regular meetings looking at what's happening with that young person, how they need to be supported, what, if there's therapeutic help that can be offered, all the sorts of things that you would do with any child in any home. We would look at how that child was progressing, how things were improving for that child and what needed to happen. And it's not just what's happened before the child gets here, it's also we know that these children are subjected to racial abuse, some on a daily basis when they arrive in this country. So we have to take responsibility as well for how we treat these children who come to this country who are in desperate need of protection.
Peter Bone, Lord Dubs, Joanna Nicolas, thank you all very much indeed. It's complex.